The rifle hit the concrete at her feet like a slap across the face. "This toy won't fire, sweetheart. Maybe you can figure out which end the bullets come out." Naval Special Warfare Training Center, Coronado, California. 700 hours. 83 people watched a 24-year-old equipment technician get humiliated by a decorated SEAL chief. Nobody expected what happened next. Nobody could have. Before we begin, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and follow this story to the very end. Drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let the truth unfold. The metal rang against concrete with a sound that silenced every conversation within 50 yards. Senior Chief Derek Stone stood over the fallen rifle like a man who had never been challenged in his life. 6'4", 240 pounds of muscle earned through 15 years of the most brutal military training on Earth. 3 combat deployments at 2 Bronze Stars, a reputation that made junior personnel cross hallways to avoid his path. He looked down at Maya Chen and smiled. "You hear me, sweetheart? This toy won't fire." Maya didn't move, didn't speak, didn't react at all. She stood 5'2", maybe 110 pounds, soaking wet. Oversized glasses, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail that looked more college campus than military installation. Her khaki pants and plain gray polo shirt bore the Coronado Equipment Services logo. She looked exactly like what everyone assumed she was: a civilian technician, a paper pusher, someone who cleaned weapons but had never fired one. Stone's team flanked him like wolves around their alpha, 4 SEALs who had survived the most demanding training program in the United States military. They carried themselves with the particular arrogance that comes from knowing most human beings couldn't accomplish what they did before breakfast. "Pick it up," Stone said. His voice carried across the range. "I want it fixed by 0900. Think you can handle that? Or do I need to draw you a diagram?" The laughter came from multiple directions. Sharp, cruel, public. Maya bent down, her fingers wrapped around the rifle's stock. The movement was slow, deliberate, almost gentle. She lifted the weapon and held it at waist level, examining it the way a doctor might examine an X-ray. "Well," Stone stepped closer. "Got something to say. The firing pin spring is at 47% tension." Maya's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "Buffer assembly has a hairline fracture. Gas tube is partially obstructed with carbon buildup. The scope mount is torqued 3 degrees off-center, which throws alignment by approximately 14 inches at 300 yards. The laughter stopped. Stone's eyes narrowed. "What did you just say?" "I said your weapon has 4 mechanical failures." Maya still hadn't looked up from the rifle. Any one of them would cause accuracy problems. Together they make the weapon functionally unusable for precision work. "I know what's wrong with it." Stone's jaw tightened. "That's why I brought it to you. For repair. You brought it to me for humiliation." Now Maya looked up. Her eyes met his without blinking. "You wanted an audience while you reminded everyone that equipment technicians exist beneath your notice." The silence that followed was absolute. Petty Officer Kyle Martinez, the youngest member of Stone's team at 23, took an involuntary step backward. He had never heard anyone speak to Senior Chief Stone like that. He wasn't sure it was legal. Stone's face went red. "Listen here, little girl." "Maya." The single word cut through his sentence like a blade. "My name is Maya Chen. Not sweetheart, not little girl, not honey. If you're going to insult me, Senior Chief, at least use my name while you do it." Stone's hands clenched into fists. His team exchanged glances. This was not how civilians spoke to decorated SEALs. This was not how anyone spoke to Derek Stone. Lieutenant Victoria Reyes pushed through the gathering crowd. She was the only female SEAL officer on base, and she had earned that position through years of fighting harder than any man around her. Her solution to the challenges of being a woman in special operations was simple: distance herself from every other woman. Prove she wasn't like them. Problem here, Senior Chief. Victoria's eyes swept over Maya with barely concealed contempt. Just a technician who doesn't understand her place. Victoria smiled. It wasn't friendly. Stick to your clipboard, honey. Leave the real work to people who've actually been downrange. Maya's expression didn't change. Have you been downrange, Lieutenant? Victoria's smile vanished. What? Have you been downrange, seen combat, pulled a trigger when it mattered? I've completed 3 deployment rotations. That's not what I asked. Maya's voice remained perfectly level. I asked if you've been downrange, actually in the field, actually engaged. The question hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. Victoria's combat record was classified, but everyone on base knew the truth. Her deployments had been support roles, important, valuable, but not frontline combat. It was the whispered criticism that followed her everywhere, the asterisk next to her SEAL qualification. Victoria's face went white, then red. How dare you! Enough! The voice came from the observation deck above them, deep, commanding, the kind of voice that ended arguments simply by existing. Commander James Hartwell descended the metal stairs with the measured pace of a man who had made life-and-death decisions under fire. 22 years of service carved into the lines around his eyes. Silver Star, Navy Cross, 3 Purple Hearts. Wounds that still ached when the weather changed. The crowd parted for him like water around a warship. Senior Chief Stone. Hartwell's voice carried no emotion. Explain. Stone straightened. Sir, this technician is being insubordinate. I brought a malfunctioning weapon for repair, and I heard what she said. Hartwell's eyes moved to Maya, held there for a moment. Something flickered in his gaze. Recognition. Acknowledgement. It vanished before anyone else could notice. I also heard what you said. Stone's confidence wavered. Sir, you called her sweetheart. You threw a weapon at her feet in front of the entire morning training rotation. You questioned whether she knew which end bullets come out of. Hartwell's voice never rose, but the temperature around them seemed to drop. Is that accurate? Sir, Is that accurate, Senior Chief? Stone's jaw worked. Yes, sir. Interesting. Hartwell turned to address the crowd. 83 people now drawn by the commotion. SEALs, support staff, training candidates, administrative personnel. It seems we have a disagreement about capability. Senior Chief Stone believes this technician is incompetent. Ms. Chen seems to disagree. He paused. The silence stretched. I propose we settle it. Stone's eyes lit up. Sir, I would be happy to demonstrate proper weapon handling for the equipment staff. Not you, Senior Chief. Hartwell's gaze returned to Maya. Her. The word landed like a bomb. Sir. Stone blinked. You want the technician to demonstrate shooting. I want her to prove her capability or be proven wrong. Hartwell crossed his arms. 10 targets, 400 yards, with that rifle. He nodded at the damaged weapon in Maya's hands. The one you said wouldn't fire. Stone laughed. The sound was incredulous relieved. Sir, with respect, that weapon is non-functional. I couldn't hit 10 targets at 400 yards with it. My best men couldn't. Then you have nothing to worry about. The words cut Stone's laughter short. If she fails, you're proven right. She goes back to her paperwork. Everyone agrees that Senior Chief Stone understands capability better than some civilian technician. Hartwell's voice hardened. But if she succeeds... He let the sentence hang. If she succeeds, Senior Chief, you and your team report for Beach PT at 0430 hours for the next 60 days. Full gear. And she sets the pace. Stone's face went pale. Beach PT at 0430 was brutal under normal circumstances. With a civilian setting the pace, humiliation. Public extended, inescapable humiliation. Sir, that's not fair. Hartwell raised an eyebrow. Neither was throwing a rifle at a woman's feet and calling her sweetheart in front of 80 witnesses. Kyle Martinez felt his stomach drop. He glanced at the other team members. Connor Walsh looked sick. Ryan Foster was staring at his boots. Even Victoria Reyes had lost her smug expression. One more thing. Hartwell's voice took on an edge that made everyone listen closer. She does it blindfolded. The crowd erupted, voices overlapping, objections, gasps. Someone laughed nervously. Stone's jaw dropped. Sir, that's impossible. 400 yards blindfolded with a damaged weapon nobody could... Then you definitely have nothing to worry about. Hartwell turned to Maya. Ms. Chen, do you accept... Every eye fixed on her. The small woman with the messy hair and the oversized glasses holding a rifle that had failed inspection 3 times. Surrounded by the most elite warriors in the United States military, challenged to do something that defied the laws of physics. Maya looked at the rifle in her hands. Her thumb found the magazine release. Pressed it. The motion was automatic, unconscious, the kind of muscle memory that takes 10,000 repetitions to build. She looked up at Hartwell. Move the targets to 400. I'll need 10 rounds. Not a question. Not a request. A statement of fact from someone who had already decided the outcome. Stone's confident smile flickered. For the first time, uncertainty crept into his eyes. Wait. Victoria stepped forward. Sir, with respect, this is ridiculous. No civilian technician has the training to make shots like that. If she somehow succeeds, it would raise serious questions about her background, who she really is, where she actually trained. Those are excellent questions, Lieutenant. Hartwell's expression remained neutral. Perhaps today we'll answer them. He turned to the range master. Clear the 400-yard line. Set 10 targets tactical formation. Diamond pattern with overlapping fields. The range master, a grizzled veteran named Chief Morrison, hesitated only a moment before nodding. Aye, sir. The next 20 minutes became a strange kind of theater. Targets were positioned. Crowd grew larger. 112 people now word spreading through the base like wildfire. Someone had propped open the doors of the adjacent buildings. Personnel streamed out, drawn by the impossible promise of watching a civilian technician attempt something SEALs wouldn't try. Phones emerged from pockets. Recording lights blinked red. This moment would be documented from every angle. Maya stood at the firing line rifle in her hands, expression unreadable. She hadn't spoken since accepting the challenge. Hadn't reacted to the growing crowd, the whispered bets, the pointed laughter from Stone's remaining allies. She was examining the rifle. Not casually. Intensively. Her fingers traced every surface, probing weaknesses, cataloging failures. Her eyes never left the weapon. Kyle Martinez watched her hands. Something about the way she held the rifle nagged at him. The grip wasn't amateur. The way her thumb rested on the safety selector index finger extended along the frame palm positioned for recoil management. These were trained movements. Professional movements. Hey. He nudged Connor Walsh. "Look at her hands." Connor looked, frowned. "What about them? The way she's holding that weapon. That's not how civilians hold rifles." "She works with weapons all day. She probably picked up some habits." "No." Kyle shook his head slowly. "That's not habit. That's muscle memory. That's thousands of hours of repetition." Connor snorted. "You're paranoid. She's a technician. She fixes equipment. Stone's about to embarrass her in front of the entire base, and we're going to enjoy every minute of it." But Kyle kept watching, and the unease in his gut kept growing. At the firing line, Maya completed her examination. She looked up at Stone, who stood 15 feet away, with his team smiling like a man who had already won. "The scope is useless," she said. "I'll need iron sights." Stone laughed. "Iron sights at 400 yards. With that weapon, sweetheart, just admit you can't do it." "Can you remove the scope, or do I need to do it myself?" The question was asked with complete calm. No aggression, no defensiveness, just simple inquiry about logistics. Stone's smile faltered. He nodded at Kyle. "Get her a screwdriver." Kyle retrieved a multi-tool from his vest, handed it to Maya. Their fingers brushed briefly, and Kyle felt something strange. Her hands were calloused. Not desk worker calluses, trigger calluses. The specific wear pattern that comes from thousands of rounds fired. He opened his mouth to say something, closed it, stepped back. Maya removed the damaged scope in 37 seconds, set it aside, examined the iron sights beneath. They were functional, but crude. Backup systems never intended for precision work. "These will work." She hefted the rifle. "I'm ready." Chief Morrison cleared his throat. "Range is hot. Shooter, take your position." Maya stepped to the firing line. Her stance shifted. Feet shoulder-width apart, weight balanced with rear leg slightly back. Body bladed to present a smaller profile. Left hand on the handguard with upward pressure to counteract barrel rise. The stance was textbook. More than textbook. It was the refined result of years of training. The kind of positioning that special operations instructors spent months teaching elite candidates. In the crowd, someone whispered, "That's not civilian stance. That's combat stance." Maya raised the rifle, pressed the stock against her shoulder, felt the crack in the composite material, adjusted pressure distribution to compensate. Her cheek found the stock weld naturally, eyes aligned with the crude iron sights. Hartwell approached with a black blindfold. "Regulation material. No light penetration." "Last chance to back out, Ms. Chen." Maya's voice was steady. "Put it on." He secured the blindfold, checked the seal, stepped back. Silence fell. 112 people held their breath. The Pacific wind gusted, carrying salt and uncertainty. Maya stood motionless, head tilted slightly, listening, reading the environment through sound and sensation. The wind speed, the temperature, the humidity, the subtle vibrations of the earth beneath her feet. Stone's confident smile had become a rictus of forced optimism. His team no longer laughed. Victoria Reyes had uncrossed her arms. Kyle Martinez felt his heart pounding. "Wind from the northwest," Chief Morrison announced. 12 knots gusting to 15. Temperature 68 degrees. Humidity 57%. Maya nodded once. Imperceptibly. Her finger found the trigger. The damaged mechanism required nearly 8 pounds of pressure instead of the standard 4. She adjusted her finger placement, applied pressure at the second joint instead of the pad, a compensation technique that took years to master. The rifle cracked. 400 yards downrange target 1 jerked. The sound of steel-on-steel impact reached them half a second later. Dead center. Stone's smile died. Maya chambered the second round. The bolt action moved smooth despite the weapon's damage. Another compensation. Another adjustment her hands made without conscious thought. She fired. Target 2. Dead center. The crowd began to murmur. Confusion. Disbelief. The beginning of understanding. Target 3. Dead center. Stone's face had gone white. His hands opened and closed at his sides. His eyes darted between Maya and the targets, searching for explanation, finding none. Target 4. Dead center. Victoria Reyes stepped forward involuntarily. Her voice was barely audible. That's not possible. Target 5. A gust of wind. The target swayed on its mount. Maya held, waited, fired at the exact moment the swing reached its apex. Dead center. Chief Morrison, who had spent 23 years teaching marksmanship, removed his cover and wiped his forehead. His hands were shaking. Target 6. Target 7. Target 8. Each shot placed with mechanical precision. Each round finding its mark despite a weapon that shouldn't have been able to hit a barn at 50 yards, despite a blindfold that eliminated visual confirmation entirely. Stone grabbed Kyle's arm. She's cheating. She has to be cheating. Check the blindfold. Check the weapon. Something's wrong. Kyle didn't respond. He was staring at Maya with an expression approaching religious conversion. Target 9. Dead center. One target remaining. The crowd had gone completely silent. No whispers. No breathing. 112 people unified in the single experience of witnessing something that defied comprehension. Maya adjusted her stance by millimeters. Read the wind through sound alone. Calculated distance, drop, drift, and the specific inconsistencies of a damaged weapon operating at the edge of its functional capacity. She squeezed the trigger. Target 10 jerked violently as the round struck. Dead center. Perfect. 10 for 10. 400 yards. Blindfolded. With a rifle that should have been scrapped. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Then Chief Morrison began to clap. Slow at first. Building. Other hands joined. The applause spread through the crowd like a wave. SEALs, support staff, training candidates, even administrative personnel who had never fired a weapon in their lives. Standing ovation. 112 people acknowledging what they had witnessed. Maya lowered the rifle, reached for the blindfold. But Stone was already moving. He crossed the distance in 3 strides, grabbed her shoulder, ripped the blindfold away with enough force to spin her around. Who the hell are you? His hand gripped her sleeve. Twisted. The fabric, worn thin from months of washing, tore from shoulder to elbow. And there, exposed to 112 witnesses, was the truth. A tattoo on her inner forearm. Navy SEAL Trident executed in precise black ink. Below it, 7 tally marks arranged in a row. And beneath those words that made Stone release her like he'd touched fire. Ghost 7. The call sign was legendary. Whispered about in special operations circles. The youngest female sniper in naval special warfare history. Credited with impossible shots in impossible conditions. The operator who saved 12 men in Damascus with a single round at 1,400 yards. The woman who disappeared 6 months ago after a mission went catastrophically wrong. Presumed broken. Presumed gone. But she wasn't gone. She had been here, filing paperwork, cleaning weapons, hiding in plain sight while the best warriors in the world walked past her every day without recognition. Stone stumbled backward. His face cycled through expressions. Shock. Recognition. Horror at his own behavior. The devastating understanding that he had publicly humiliated someone who operated at a level he couldn't comprehend. His voice came out as a whisper. "Oh my God." The name spread through the crowd like fire through dry brush. Ghost 7, Ghost 7, Ghost 7. Stone's hand hung in the air where he had released Maya's arm. His mouth opened and closed without producing sound. 15 years of military service, 3 combat deployments, 2 Bronze Stars, and he had just publicly humiliated the most legendary female operator in naval special warfare history. "It can't be." His voice cracked. "Ghost 7 is... she's supposed to be..." "Dead." Maya's voice held no emotion. "Retired, broken, beyond repair." She pulled the torn fabric of her sleeve together. The gesture was almost modest, as if the exposure of her identity bothered her more than the tattoo itself. "All 3, depending on who you ask." Chief Morrison dropped to one knee. The movement was automatic, instinctive, the kind of respect that comes from recognizing someone who operates in a completely different category of human capability. "Petty Officer First Class Chen." His voice carried across the silent crowd. "It's an honor." The title landed like a thunderclap. Petty Officer First Class. Not a civilian technician, an active duty rating, or at least formerly active. Victoria Reyes pushed forward. Her face had gone pale. Her carefully constructed armor of superiority cracked and fell away. "You're the one from Damascus." Maya didn't respond. "The 1,400-yard shot, the one they still teach at sniper school." Victoria's voice rose. "You killed the insurgent commander with a single round while his men were executing hostages, saved 12 operators, changed the outcome of the entire operation." Still nothing from Maya. "That's impossible." Victoria stepped closer. "That shot required calculating for wind temperature humidity elevation differential and the Coriolis effect. At 1,400 yards, with hostages in the kill zone. Nobody makes that shot." "I made that shot." 3 words, spoken quietly, without pride or boast. Simple statement of historical fact. "Then why are you here?" Victoria's voice cracked with something that might have been betrayal. "Why are you cleaning weapons and filing paperwork? Why are you hiding?" Maya's eyes met hers. For the first time, something flickered in her expression. Pain. Deep and old and carefully buried. "Because making that shot cost me everything." The words hung in the salt air. Commander Hartwell stepped forward. His movement broke the paralysis that had gripped the crowd. He stood beside Maya, facing the assembled personnel, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of command. "What you witnessed today stays on this base. No social media, no phone calls home, no drunk stories at the bar." His eyes swept the crowd. "Anyone who violates this order will answer to me personally. Is that understood?" Murmurs of acknowledgement rippled through the assembly. "Dismissed. All of you. Return to your duties." The crowd began to disperse. Slowly, reluctantly. 112 people who had just witnessed the impossible forced to walk away without answers. But Stone didn't move. His team didn't move. Victoria Reyes didn't move. And Kyle Martinez, who had noticed Maya's hands before anyone else, stood rooted to the ground with questions burning in his eyes. "Sir," Stone's voice was hoarse. I need to understand what just happened. What happened, Senior Chief, is that you learned a valuable lesson about assumptions. Hartwell's tone offered no sympathy. You saw a small woman in civilian clothes and assumed incompetence. That assumption made you cruel. That cruelty exposed you to consequences you didn't anticipate. I didn't know. That's exactly the point. Hartwell cut him off. You didn't know. You didn't bother to find out. You judged based on appearance and acted on that judgment. Stone's jaw tightened. The correction was public, humiliating. But he couldn't argue because every word was true. Now, Hartwell turned to Maya. Ms. Chen and I need to have a conversation. Senior Chief, you and your team will report to my office at 1400 hours. We'll discuss your training schedule then. The dismissal was clear. Stone nodded once. Sharp. Military. Aye, sir. He turned to leave. His team followed. But Kyle hesitated. Permission to speak, sir. Hartwell raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. I noticed her hands before the demonstration. The calluses. The grip. The way she held the weapon. Kyle swallowed. I should have said something. Should have warned the Senior Chief. Instead, I stayed quiet because I wanted to see what would happen. The admission cost him. His team had stopped. Were watching. And what did you learn, Petty Officer? That silence makes me complicit. Kyle's voice steadied. That watching someone get set up for failure is the same as setting them up myself. Hartwell studied him for a long moment. That's a hard lesson. Most people never learn it. Most people haven't watched a legend get thrown a broken rifle and told to prove she knows which end bullets come out of. Something almost like approval crossed Hartwell's face. Report with your team at 1400. We'll discuss your role and what comes next. Kyle nodded, joined his team. They walked away in silence, but Maya saw him glance back once. Twice. The young SEAL was processing, questioning, changing. Good. That's how growth started. Maya, Hartwell's voice softened now that they were relatively alone. We need to talk about what happens next. I know. The cover is blown. There's no putting that back in the bottle. I know. Within 48 hours, this will spread through every special operations community in the country. Within a week, media will start asking questions. Within a month, I know James. The use of his first name stopped him. They had served together for years. He had signed her medical separation papers, had watched her disappear into civilian anonymity, and respected her decision to heal. But he had also placed her here. At Coronado, where he could keep an eye on her, where the right crisis might remind her who she really was. This wasn't an accident. Maya's voice held no accusation, just understanding. You knew Stone would challenge me eventually. Knew his arrogance would create exactly this situation. Hartwell didn't deny it. You were dying inside Maya, pretending to be someone you're not, hiding from the community that shaped you. That community got Sarah killed. The name fell between them like a dropped weapon. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, Maya's spotter, best friend. The person who had talked her through the Damascus shot. The person who had bled out in Maya's arms 6 months ago while Maya was still on the rifle. Sarah died doing what she chose to do. Hartwell's voice was gentle. She knew the risks. She accepted them. And she would hate what you've become. Don't. Maya's voice hardened. Don't use her memory to manipulate me. I'm not manipulating you. I'm telling you what she told me. Maya went still. What? 3 weeks before the Syria operation, Sarah came to my office. Hartwell's eyes held hers. She said if anything happened to her, I needed to make sure you didn't disappear. Make sure you kept teaching. Make sure her death meant something beyond just another name on a wall. She never told me, She knew you wouldn't listen. She knew you'd blame yourself. She knew you'd try to disappear. Hartwell paused. She also knew I'd find a way to bring you back. Eventually. Maya's hands trembled, the first crack in her composure since the demonstration began. I couldn't save her. No, you couldn't. I made the shot, saved 12 strangers, but I couldn't save the one person. Maya. Hartwell's voice cut through her spiral. Sarah was hit before you took the shot. You know that. The round that killed her came from a position you couldn't see, couldn't engage, couldn't predict. You did everything right, and she still died. That's war. That's the cost we pay. The cost you pay. Maya's voice broke. She paid. I just survived. And surviving creates obligation. Hartwell stepped closer. You owe it to her to keep going, to teach others what she taught you, to make sure her death creates 100 operators who might save the next spotter, the next friend, the next person who matters. The argument was unfair, manipulative, and completely true. Maya closed her eyes, saw Sarah's face, heard her voice during the Damascus shot. Windage left 2 mils. Hold center mass. Send it. Clear, calm, professional. Even as blood pooled beneath her body from a wound Maya couldn't see. What are you asking me to do? Chief instructor position. Full autonomy. Design your own curriculum. Choose your own students. Hartwell pressed forward. Teach them what you and Sarah learned together. Make her sacrifice mean something beyond grief. And if I refuse, then you go back to filing paperwork, and I watch you die by inches for another year until there's nothing left worth saving. His voice hardened. But I don't think you'll refuse, because you're not a coward, Maya. You're just scared, and scared people can still choose courage. The words landed like punches. Accurate. Devastating. True. Before Maya could respond, footsteps approached. Victoria Reyes, still in uniform, face drawn with something that looked almost like desperation. Sir, permission to speak with Petty Officer Chen. Hartwell looked at Maya. She nodded. Granted, Lieutenant. I'll be in my office. He turned to leave, then paused. Think about what I said, Maya. Sarah didn't die so you could hide forever. He walked away. Left the 2 women facing each other. Victoria's carefully constructed confidence had vanished. In its place was something raw, vulnerable, real. I owe you an apology. Maya said nothing. What I said earlier, stick to your clipboard. Leave the real work to people who've been downrange. Victoria's voice trembled. That was cruel and hypocritical, and I'm sorry. Why hypocritical? Victoria flinched. The question touched exactly the wound she had tried to hide. Because I've never been downrange. Not really. The admission cost her. My deployments were support roles, important work, necessary work, but not combat, not the real thing. And that bothers you. It defines me. Victoria's composure cracked. I'm the only female SEAL officer on this base, maybe on any base. I fought for years to earn that position, and every single day someone reminds me that I haven't really earned it, not the way the men have. Maya studied her, saw the exhaustion, the isolation, the desperate need to prove something that could never be proven to people who had already decided she didn't belong. So you distance yourself from other women. Make yourself the exception. Prove you're not like them. Victoria's eyes widened. How did you? Because it's what I did, early in my career. Before I learned that tearing down other women doesn't elevate you. It just makes you complicit in the same system that holds us all back. The insight cut deep. Victoria's face went through several expressions. Denial, recognition, shame. What changed you, Sarah Kim? The name again. The wound that wouldn't heal. She was my spotter, my partner, the person who taught me that supporting other women wasn't weakness, it was strength. Maya's voice softened. She died 6 months ago. In my arms, while I was making a shot that saved 12 strangers. Victoria went pale. I'm sorry. I didn't know. You couldn't have known. But now you do. Maya met her eyes. And you have a choice. Keep fighting alone. Keep tearing down every woman who threatens your position. Keep proving yourself to people who will never accept you. Or start building something different. Start mentoring instead of competing. Start creating paths for the women who come after you instead of pulling up the ladder. The challenge hung between them. Victoria's jaw tightened. Something shifted behind her eyes. Not a complete transformation, but a crack in the armor. A possibility of change. I don't know how to do that. Neither did I. Sarah taught me. But Sarah's gone. Yes. Maya's voice held steady despite the pain. So now someone else has to teach. Someone who learned from her. Someone who can pass forward what she gave. The implication was clear. Victoria saw it, felt it. Would you teach me? Would you learn, really learn, not just tactics and techniques, but how to lead without diminishing others? Victoria didn't answer immediately. The question demanded honesty that military culture rarely allowed. I don't know, she finally said, but I want to try. It was the right answer. The only answer that mattered. Report to me tomorrow, 0600. We'll start with the basics. Which basics? The ones they don't teach at Bud S. Maya's voice carried weight beyond words. How to be strong without being hard. How to lead without crushing. How to succeed without leaving others behind. Victoria nodded. Saluted. The gesture was formal, but her eyes held something new. Hope, maybe, or the beginning of it. She walked away. Left Maya alone at the range where her carefully constructed anonymity had just evaporated. Alone. But not empty. For the first time in 6 months, something stirred in Maya's chest. Purpose. Direction. The faintest spark of meaning in the darkness that had consumed her since Damascus. Sarah's voice echoed in her memory. You can't save everyone, but you can teach them to save each other. Maybe that was enough. Maybe teaching was how she honored the dead, how she made survival mean something beyond just breathing. Maybe Petty Officer Chen. The voice came from behind her. Unfamiliar. Male. Carrying authority that didn't belong to anyone she had met today. Maya turned. 3 men stood at the edge of the range. 2 in civilian clothes that couldn't quite hide their military bearing. The third wore a uniform that made Maya's blood run cold. Admiral's stars. 2 of them. Rear Admiral, the kind of rank that didn't visit training facilities for casual inspections. Admiral Harrison? The name came automatically. Recognition from a career she had tried to bury. I didn't realize you were on base. I wasn't, until 37 minutes ago. Harrison's voice was clipped, urgent. We need to talk now, privately. Sir, I'm technically a civilian contractor. You're technically the most capable precision shooter in naval special warfare. Harrison cut her off. Your separation papers were medical leave, not discharge. You're still in the system. Still available for recall. Maya's stomach dropped. I'm not available for operations, sir. That was the agreement. Agreements change when situations change. Harrison gestured toward the administrative building. Walk with me, Petty Officer. What I have to say can't wait. Maya didn't move. With respect, Admiral, I retired for a reason. I'm not... Lieutenant Kim's younger brother is currently being held hostage on a cargo vessel in the South China Sea. The world stopped. Everything stopped. What did you say? Jason Kim, Lieutenant Sarah Kim's brother. He joined Naval Intelligence 3 years ago, partially because of you, because of what you did for his sister's team in Damascus. Harrison's voice held no softness. 48 hours ago, his vessel was intercepted by hostile forces. He and 2 other intelligence officers are scheduled for execution in 18 hours. Maya's hands began to shake. The shot required for rescue is 1,600 yards across open water, 25-knot winds, ship movement compensation. Target appears in a 6-inch window for approximately 4 seconds every 90 seconds. That's impossible. That's you. Harrison stepped closer. That's exactly your capability. The capability you demonstrated 12 months ago in Damascus. The capability you've been hiding for 6 months while filing paperwork and pretending to be someone else. Maya's mind raced. Jason Kim. Sarah's brother. The kid she had heard about for years. The photo Sarah carried in her vest pocket. The reason Sarah pushed so hard to excel. To come home. To see him grow up. He was going to die in 18 hours unless someone made an impossible shot. I'm not operational. Maya's voice came out strangled. I haven't touched my rifle in 6 months. I'm not... You just hit 10 targets at 400 yards blindfolded with a broken weapon. Harrison's eyes bore into hers. Don't tell me what you're not capable of. The argument died in her throat. He was right. She knew he was right. There has to be someone else. There isn't. Harrison's voice softened slightly. We've consulted every Tier 1 sniper in the inventory, every contractor, every allied operator who might have the skill set. They all say the same thing. The shot is impossible. Then it is impossible. No, they say it's impossible for them. Harrison paused. Not one of them said it was impossible for you. Maya closed her eyes, saw Sarah's face, heard Sarah's voice during the Damascus shot, felt Sarah's blood soaking through her uniform as she held her dying friend and screamed for medics who came too late. Jason Kim, Sarah's brother, the last living piece of her best friend. When do I leave? The question emerged before Maya consciously decided to ask it. But once it was spoken, she knew it was the only answer she could give. Harrison allowed himself a small exhale. Relief carefully controlled. Immediately. Gear is already staged. Support team is mobilizing. You'll have everything you need. I'll need my rifle, my personal weapon. It's in my apartment. We'll retrieve it en route. Harrison gestured toward the waiting vehicle. Time is critical, Petty Officer. Every minute we spend here is a minute Jason Kim moves closer to execution. Maya nodded, took one step toward the vehicle, then stopped. Admiral, one condition. Harrison's eyes narrowed. You're not in a position to negotiate. One condition, or I don't go. The silence stretched. Harrison was not a man who accepted conditions from subordinates, but he also needed Maya more than he would ever admit. What condition? When this is over, when I make this shot or die trying, I come back here, to Coronado, to teach. Maya's voice hardened. No more operations, no more recalls. I train the next generation and the military leaves me alone to do it. That's the deal. Harrison studied her for a long moment. Agreed. In writing, Petty Officer. In writing, Admiral, before I get in that vehicle, or you find someone else to make your impossible shot. She meant it. Harrison could see she meant it, and he knew with absolute certainty that without her, Jason Kim would die. Fine. In writing. He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapidly. Draw up the agreement. Chief Instructor position Coronado full autonomy, no operational recall. Have it ready for signature before we reach the airfield. He ended the call, looked at Maya. Satisfied. Almost. Maya's eyes held his. One more thing. What? Sarah Kim. Her death was classified as training accident. Friendly fire. The official record doesn't mention what really happened. Doesn't mention that she died covering my position while I made the shot that saved 12 lives. Harrison went very still. I want that corrected. I want her recognized for what she actually did. Silver Star. Minimum. Posthumous. That would require reopening classified files, then reopen them. Maya's voice carried steel. She died a hero, and the official record calls her a training casualty. That ends. Or I don't go. The demand was impossible. Bureaucratically. Politically. It would require flag officer authorization, congressional notification, potential media attention. But Jason Kim was going to die in 18 hours, and Maya Chen was the only person on Earth who could save him. Agreed. Harrison's voice was tight. I'll make it happen. Thank you. Maya walked toward the vehicle. Now let's go save Sarah's brother. She climbed into the back seat. The door closed. The vehicle began to move. Through the tinted window, Maya watched Coronado disappear behind her. The base where she had hidden for 6 months. The place where her anonymity had just been destroyed. She was going back to war. One more time. One more impossible shot. But this time was different. This time she wasn't fighting for strangers. This time she was fighting for Sarah. The aircraft hit turbulence over the Pacific, but Maya didn't notice. Her hands moved across her rifle with the automatic precision of someone who had performed this ritual 10,000 times. Cleaning, checking, preparing. The Macmillan TAC-50 felt like an extension of her nervous system, custom-built to her specifications. Effective range 2,000 yards. The weapon that had made the Damascus shot. The weapon she had sworn never to touch again. Briefing in 5. Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the engine noise. You need to see the target package. Maya didn't look up. I need to finish this first. The target package includes photographs of the hostages. Her hands stopped moving. Jason Kim looks exactly like his sister. The words hit like a physical blow. Maya set down the rifle, forced herself to breathe. Show me. Harrison handed her a tablet. The screen displayed satellite imagery tactical maps and 3 photographs. 3 faces. 3 intelligence officers. 3 people who would die in 16 hours unless Maya made a shot that defied physics. But Maya only saw one face. Jason Kim. 26 years old. Same eyes as Sarah. Same jawline. Same stubborn set to the mouth that said he would rather die than surrender. He volunteered for this mission. Harrison's voice was quiet. High-value intelligence extraction in contested waters. Knew the risks, accepted them anyway. That sounds familiar. It should. Sarah said the same thing before Damascus. Maya's grip on the tablet tightened. Don't. Don't what? Don't use her to manipulate me. I'm already on the plane. I already agreed to the mission. You don't need to keep twisting the knife. Harrison nodded slowly. Fair enough. But you need to understand what you're walking into. He tapped the tablet screen. The image shifted to show a cargo vessel. Massive. Industrial. Flying a flag that belonged to no recognized nation. The Crimson Tide, registered in international waters under a shell company, crew of 47, armed, professional, connected to 3 separate terrorist organizations and 2 hostile foreign governments. Who's running the operation? A man named Viktor Kozlov, former Russian Special Forces, went private 15 years ago. Now he sells his services to the highest bidder. Maya studied the image. I've heard of him. Damascus. He was supplying weapons to the insurgents we were targeting. He was, and he knows who you are. Harrison's voice hardened. When his suppliers died in Damascus, he lost $12 million in arms contracts. He's been looking for Ghost 7 ever since. The information landed with cold weight. He doesn't know I'm coming. No, but if he sees you, if he identifies you before you take the shot, he won't hesitate to execute all 3 hostages immediately. Then I won't let him see me. The confidence in her voice surprised her. 6 months of hiding and the operator instincts were still there, still sharp, still ready. The shot itself. Harrison pulled up another diagram. 1,600 yards from our insertion point to the vessel's deck. The hostages are being held in a cargo container that's been modified for human detention. How do they appear? Every 90 seconds, Kozlov's men open the container door. They drag one hostage out for verification photographs. The hostage is visible for approximately 4 seconds before being returned to the container. 4 seconds. 4 seconds. And the window you'll be shooting through is 6 inches wide. Maya did the math in her head. 1,600 yards. 4 seconds of target visibility. 6-inch window. 25-knot winds over open water. Ship movement that would change trajectory calculations by the millisecond. Which hostage appears when? Rotation, Kim is 3rd in the cycle. First verification happens at 0600 local time. That gives you 1 chance at each hostage before the execution deadline. 1 chance. 1 chance. Maya closed her eyes, saw the shot in her mind. Wind, distance, movement, variables that would kill normal shooters at half this range. I can make this shot. I know you can. That's why you're here. But I need something first. Harrison's eyes narrowed. We already agreed to your conditions. This is different. Maya opened her eyes, met his gaze. I need a spotter. The request hung in the recycled air of the aircraft cabin. We have spotters available. Chief Morrison volunteered. Not Morrison. Not anyone from Coronado. Then who? Maya took a breath. The name she was about to speak would change everything. Would require trusting someone who had given her no reason for trust. Would mean taking a risk that went against every instinct she had developed over 12 years of service. Victoria Reyes. Harrison's expression went blank. The SEAL lieutenant, the one who insulted you this morning, yes. You want the woman who told you to stick to your clipboard as your spotter on a mission where a single mistake means 3 people die. Yes. Why? Maya set down the tablet, looked out the window at the endless Pacific below. Because she needs to see what real combat looks like. Because she's spent her entire career being told she doesn't belong in the field. Because this mission will either break her or make her into something stronger. That's not a reason. That's a gamble. All of war is gambling. Maya turned back to Harrison. But this gamble serves a purpose. Reyes has potential. Raw, undeveloped, buried under years of proving herself to men who will never accept her. If she spots for me on this mission, if she performs under pressure, she'll know what she's capable of. and she'll stop fighting to be accepted and start fighting to be excellent. And if she fails, then I take the shot without spotter support, and 3 people probably die. Harrison stared at her for a long moment. You're asking me to risk 3 lives on a leadership development exercise. I'm asking you to trust my judgment. The same judgment that made the Damascus shot. The same judgment that saved 12 operators when everyone said it was impossible. The argument landed. Harrison knew it landed. Reyes is in San Diego. We'd have to divert the aircraft. We'd lose 3 hours. We have 16 hours. 3 won't matter. It might matter. It won't. Maya's voice held absolute certainty. Because Reyes will perform. I know she will. The same way I knew I could make the shot this morning. The same way I knew I could make the shot in Damascus. Harrison pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapidly. His face showed the strain of a decision that went against every protocol. Divert to San Diego. Priority extraction for Lieutenant Victoria Reyes. Full tactical brief en route. He ended the call, looked at Maya with an expression that mixed respect and concern. This had better work. It will. How do you know? Maya picked up her rifle, resumed the cleaning ritual that her hands could perform in total darkness. Because Sarah Kim trusted me the same way once. She spotted for me when everyone said I couldn't make the shots. She believed when no one else did. Maya's voice softened. Now it's my turn to believe in someone else. The aircraft banked, changed course, headed for San Diego, and a lieutenant who didn't know her entire world was about to change. 3 hours later, Victoria Reyes stood in the aircraft cabin with an expression that cycled between confusion, terror, and something that looked almost like hope. You want me to what? Spot for me. Maya's voice was calm, matter of fact. 1,600 yards, open water, high winds, moving target. I've never spotted for a live operation. I know. Then why? Because you asked me this morning to teach you. Because you said you wanted to learn how to be strong without being hard. Because the best way to learn is by doing. Victoria's face went pale. If I fail, people die. Yes. Including Sarah Kim's brother. Yes. And you still want me? I still want you. The answer didn't make sense. Victoria searched Maya's face for explanation for hidden agenda for some logical reason why the most capable sniper in naval special warfare would choose an unproven lieutenant for the most important shot of her career. She found nothing but calm certainty. Why? Because I see something in you. The same thing Sarah saw in me when I was young and scared and desperate to prove myself. Maya stood, approached Victoria. You've spent years fighting alone, fighting against your own team, fighting to earn respect that you'll never get by fighting. I don't understand. You will. Maya placed a hand on Victoria's shoulder. After tonight, you will. Admiral Harrison cleared his throat. We're 4 hours from the insertion point. Petty Officer Chen, I suggest you begin training Lieutenant Reyes on spotting protocols. Already planned. Maya turned to Victoria. First lesson. The spotter doesn't just call wind and distance. The spotter is the shooter's anchor. When everything goes wrong, when the target appears and the wind shifts and the shot window shrinks, the spotter keeps the shooter grounded, focused, present. How do I do that? By trusting, completely, without reservation. Maya's eyes held hers. Can you trust me, Victoria? Can you put your faith in someone you insulted 8 hours ago? The question demanded an answer that Victoria didn't know how to give. 8 hours ago, she had called Maya honey, had told her to stick to her clipboard, had dismissed her as a civilian technician beneath notice. 8 hours ago, she had been wrong about everything. Yes. The word came out stronger than Victoria expected. I can trust you. Good. Then let's begin. The next 4 hours became the most intense training Victoria had ever experienced. Maya taught her wind reading, not the theoretical calculations from sniper school. Real wind reading, how to feel the shift in air pressure, how to hear the change in sound as gusts moved across water, how to taste the salt content and translate that into humidity calculations. Maya taught her communication, the precise language that spotters use to guide shooters through impossible shots. Distance confirmation, windage adjustment, target tracking. Each phrase stripped to essential information. No wasted words. No confusion. Maya taught her breathing, how to synchronize with the shooter, how to create a rhythm that allowed both people to function as a single unit. Inhale. Exhale. Fire. The dance that turned two individuals into one weapon system. And Maya taught her something else, something that wasn't in any manual. The shot I'm about to take has maybe a 3% chance of success. Victoria's hands froze over the spotting scope she was learning to use. What, under these conditions, with this distance, with these variables, the mathematics say I will probably miss. The physics say the wind alone could push the round 2 feet off target. The statistics say Jason Kim will probably die. Then why are we doing this? Because statistics lie. Maya's voice held absolute conviction. They tell you what usually happens. They don't tell you what can happen when someone refuses to accept the usual. That's not science. No, that's faith. Maya picked up her rifle. Sarah taught me that the difference between possible and impossible is often just someone stubborn enough to try. She spotted for me on shots that should have been impossible, every time she believed we could make them, and every time we did. And now you want me to believe the same way. I want you to understand that your belief matters, that when you call my windage, when you track my target, when you tell me the moment is right, your certainty becomes my certainty. Your faith becomes my faith. Victoria absorbed the words, felt them settle into places she didn't know were empty. What if I don't have that faith? What if I'm scared? Then you use the fear. Maya's eyes softened. Fear isn't weakness. Fear is fuel. It sharpens focus, heightens awareness. The best operators I've known were terrified every time they went into combat. They just learned to aim the terror instead of being controlled by it. How do I aim it? By remembering what matters, by holding in your mind the faces of the people who are counting on you, by refusing to let them down no matter what your fear tells you. Victoria thought about that. Thought about Jason Kim, whose photograph she had studied for the past 2 hours. Thought about the 2 other hostages whose names she had memorized. Thought about Sarah Kim, who had died trusting her spotter completely. Okay, Victoria straightened. I'm ready. No, you're not. Maya smiled slightly. But you're willing. That's enough. The aircraft began its descent. Through the window, Victoria could see the dark expanse of the South China Sea. Somewhere out there, a cargo vessel carried 3 hostages toward execution. Somewhere out there, Jason Kim was waiting for rescue he didn't know was coming. Final approach in 30 minutes, the pilot's voice crackled through the intercom. Insertion team, prepare for deployment. Maya began assembling her gear, rifle, ammunition, ghillie suit. Everything she needed to become invisible in hostile territory. Victoria watched, learned, memorized. One more lesson. Maya paused her preparation. The most important one. What When we take position, when we acquire the target, when the shot window opens, you're going to want to talk, to encourage me, to tell me I can do this. That's wrong. That's deadly. Maya's voice hardened. In the moment before the shot, silence is everything. My entire world narrows to the target, to the trigger, to the wind and the distance and the mathematics that determine whether I hit or miss. Any sound, any distraction, any break in concentration could throw the shot. So I stay quiet. You stay quiet until I speak first. Then you respond with information only. Wind, distance, target status. Nothing else. No encouragement, no questions, no emotion. That sounds cold. That sounds like survival. Maya met her eyes. Sarah understood that. She knew when to speak and when to be silent, when to be my partner and when to be my tool. That's what I need from you. The words landed hard. Victoria's jaw tightened. I can be that. Can you, even when you're scared, even when you want to help, but the best help is silence. Yes. Prove it. Maya returned to her preparation. Silence fell over the cabin. Victoria sat motionless, fighting every instinct to speak, to ask questions, to fill the empty air with words. 10 minutes passed. 20. The silence stretched like a living thing. Victoria's nerves screamed, her hands trembled, her mind raced with questions she wasn't allowed to ask. But she didn't speak. Good. Maya finally broke the silence. You passed the first test. Relief flooded Victoria's system. That was a test. Everything is a test. Until the shot is made, until the hostages are safe. Every moment is preparation. Maya stood, shouldered her rifle. Now let's go save Sarah's brother. The insertion was flawless. Small boat under cover of darkness. Maya and Victoria moving with the quiet efficiency of shadows. 3 hours of crawling through terrain that would have broken lesser operators. And then they reached the position. 1,600 yards from the Crimson Tide. Perfect line of sight to the cargo container where 3 hostages waited for death. Maya settled into prone position. Began the calculations that would determine whether this shot succeeded or failed. Wind check. Her voice was barely a whisper. Victoria raised her instrument, read the data, translated it into the language they had practiced. Northwest 23 knots, gusting to 28. Temperature 61. Humidity 64%. Maya adjusted her scope. Made calculations that existed somewhere between mathematics and intuition. Ship movement. Rolling 6 degrees port, 4 degrees starboard. Cycle time approximately 8 seconds. More adjustments. More calculations. Time to first verification. Victoria checked her watch. 14 minutes. Target confirmation. Victoria raised the spotting scope. Focused on the cargo container, saw the armed guards, saw the hostages inside through the briefly opened door. Her breath caught. Target confirmed. 3 hostages visible. Kim is... He's... What? Victoria's voice trembled. He's looking in our direction, like he knows we're here. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger guard. He doesn't know. He's hoping. That's different. He looks exactly like her. I know. Maya's voice held the weight of grief that would never fully heal. Focus. We have 14 minutes to prepare. Tell me about the guards. Victoria forced herself to concentrate, pushed down the emotion, became the tool Maya needed. 4 guards visible. 2 at the container. 2 patrolling the deck. Rotation every 3 minutes. Weapons, AK pattern rifles. One appears to have a sidearm, possibly officer. Kozlov. Victoria scanned. Found him. A tall man with the bearing of former military. The kind of predator who had survived by being more dangerous than everyone around him. Confirmed. Northeast corner of the deck. He's watching the container. Of course he is. He knows these hostages are valuable. He knows someone might try to recover them. Does he know we're here? Not yet. Maya's voice hardened. But he'll know the moment I fire. We'll have exactly 4 minutes to extract before his response team reaches our position. That's not enough time. It's exactly enough time. If we move the moment the shot connects. Victoria's heart pounded. What if you miss? Then we move anyway, because Kozlov will execute all 3 hostages within 30 seconds of hearing the shot. The stakes crystallized. 1 shot. 1 chance. Success meant 3 lives saved. Failure meant 3 deaths, and 2 operators trapped in hostile territory. Maya. What? I'm scared. I know. Maya's voice was gentle. Use it. Victoria closed her eyes, found the fear, examined it, turned it from paralyzing terror into focused energy. I'm ready. I know you are. Maya settled deeper into position. Now we wait. 11 minutes passed in silence. The guards rotated. The ship rolled. The wind gusted and ebbed and gusted again. And then the container door opened. First hostage. Victoria's voice dropped to tactical precision. Female, Lieutenant Commander Santos, moving to verification position. Maya watched through her scope, saw the woman dragged into view, saw the photograph being taken, saw the brutal efficiency of captors who had done this before. Target visible for 4.2 seconds, wind holding at 24 knots. Maya didn't respond, didn't fire. This wasn't her target. Santos disappeared back into the container. The door closed. 90 seconds to second verification. Silence. The ship rolled. The wind shifted slightly. Maya made micro-adjustments that existed beyond conscious calculation. Second hostage. Victoria's voice remained steady. Male, Lieutenant Davis, moving to verification position. Another photograph. Another 4 seconds of visibility. Another opportunity that Maya let pass. Davis disappeared. The door closed. 90 seconds to third verification. Jason Kim. Sarah's brother. The reason they were here. Maya's breathing slowed. Her world narrowed. The rifle became an extension of her body, her will, her desperate need to save the last living piece of her best friend. Wind check. 26 knots. Gust approaching from northwest. Maya waited, felt the gust approach, calculated its impact. Target verification commencing. The container door opened. Jason Kim stepped into view. He was thinner than his photograph. Bruised. Beaten. But his eyes burned with defiance that Maya recognized instantly. Sarah's eyes. Sarah's stubborn refusal to surrender. Target acquired. Victoria's voice was barely audible. 4 seconds starting now. Maya exhaled. Half breath. The way snipers do when they've fired 10,000 rounds and understand that this moment is everything. Her finger began to squeeze. 2 pounds of pressure. 4 pounds. 6. The trigger broke, the rifle cracked, and 1,600 yards away, Viktor Kozlov's head snapped sideways as the round found its mark. Not Jason Kim. Kozlov, the man who had been raising a pistol toward Jason's head, the man Maya had seen through her scope in the millisecond before she fired. The man whose death changed everything. "Target down." Victoria's voice shook. "You hit Kozlov. You hit Kozlov instead of, 'I know what I hit.'" Maya was already chambering another round. New situation. Kozlov was about to execute Kim early. The verification was a trap. "How did you know?" "I saw his eyes. The way he looked at Kim. The satisfaction." Maya's voice was ice. "He knew we were here. He was waiting for us to commit to the shot so he could execute Kim and watch us fail." "But you shot him instead." "I shot the threat." Maya's scope found the deck again. "Now the hostages are uncontrolled. Guards are panicking. We have maybe 60 seconds before someone else takes command." Victoria's training kicked in. Fear transformed into action. Guard 1 moving toward container. Guard 2 raising weapon. Guard 3, on it. Maya fired. Guard 1 dropped. Fired again. Guard 2 dropped. Fired again. Guard 3 dropped. 3 shots. 3 kills. 4 seconds. Container guards neutralizing. Victoria tracked the chaos. "Hostages are... they're moving. Kim grabbed a weapon from the downed guard. He's what? He's fighting. He's covering Santos and Davis while they move toward the extraction point." Maya allowed herself 1 second of fierce pride. Sarah's brother. Fighting like Sarah would have fought. Refusing to be a victim. "Extraction boat inbound." Harrison's voice crackled through the earpiece. 90 seconds to pick up." Maya kept her scope on the deck, picked off 2 more guards who emerged from below, provided cover fire for 3 hostages who didn't know their guardian angel was watching from 1,600 yards away. "Hostages at extraction point." Victoria's voice rose with relief. "Boat is approaching. They're going to make it." "Not yet." Maya tracked movement on the deck. "Someone's coming up from below. Someone with authority." Through the scope, she saw him. A man in a suit. No weapon visible. But the way the remaining crew deferred to him said everything. "Secondary commander, Kozlov's backup." "Can you take the shot?" Maya calculated. 1,600 yards. The man was partially concealed. Wind had shifted again. "Marginal." "What does that mean?" "It means I have about a 40% chance of hitting. And if you miss, then he might have time to give an order that kills our hostages before they reach the boat." Victoria's breath caught. "What do you need from me?" "I need you to tell me what you see. Every detail. Every movement. Be my eyes while I calculate." Victoria pressed her face to the spotting scope, focused with intensity she didn't know she possessed. "Target is moving toward the radio room. Pace suggests urgency. He's reaching for his belt. Could be a radio. Could be a detonator." The word hit like ice water. A what? Kozlov was former Spetsnaz. They always have backup plans. That container the hostages were held in, it's probably rigged. But the hostages are out. The hostages are 50 yards from the container. If that man triggers a detonation... Maya didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. She exhaled, found the target, made peace with 40% odds, and fired. The round took 1.8 seconds to cross 1,600 yards of open water. 1.8 seconds where Maya held her breath and prayed to something she wasn't sure she believed in. 1.8 seconds where Victoria watched through the scope and waited for the outcome that would determine whether 3 people lived or died. The man in the suit staggered. Fell. His hand dropped away from his belt. "Target down!" Victoria's voice cracked. "Target down! The detonator, it's..." He dropped it. It didn't trigger. "Hostages. At the boat. They're boarding. They're..." Victoria's voice dissolved into something between laughter and tears. They're safe! Maya, they're safe! You did it! Maya lowered her rifle, closed her eyes, felt the weight of 12 months drain away in a single moment of impossible success. We did it. Her voice was barely a whisper. Sarah, we did it. The extraction boat cut through black water at 40 knots. Maya sat motionless, rifle across her lap, eyes fixed on nothing. Her hands had stopped shaking 10 minutes ago. The adrenaline was fading, leaving behind something she hadn't felt in 6 months. Peace. Victoria sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. The lieutenant hadn't spoken since they boarded. Her face carried the 1,000-yard stare of someone whose entire understanding of reality had just been demolished and rebuilt. You okay? Victoria startled at Maya's voice. I don't know. I think so. Maybe. That's the right answer. Is it supposed to feel like this? Like I'm still there? Like part of me never left that position? Yes. Maya's voice held no judgment. That part of you will stay there forever. Every position you ever take, every shot you ever spot, leaves a piece behind. You learn to carry the weight. Victoria absorbed the words, nodded slowly. Thank you. For what? For choosing me. For believing I could do this when I gave you every reason not to. Maya turned to face her. In the darkness, her eyes caught the faint starlight. I didn't choose you because I believed in you. I chose you because Sarah believed in me once, and I needed to pass that forward. She paused. The belief came later. When you held your silence during the final approach. When you tracked that detonator and stayed calm. When you did everything right under pressure that would have broken most operators. Victoria's eyes glistened. I was terrified. I know. That's what made it courage. The boat changed course, headed toward the naval vessel waiting at the extraction point, headed toward debriefing medical evaluation and the 1,000 questions that would follow an operation this significant. But first, there was someone Maya needed to see. Jason Kim stood on the deck of the USS Constellation, wrapped in a silver thermal blanket, a medic checking his vital signs. His face was bruised. His wrists showed ligature marks from restraints, but his eyes burned with the same stubborn fire Maya had seen through her scope. Sarah's eyes. Sarah's spirit. Sarah's refusal to surrender. He looked up as Maya approached. Recognition flickered across his features. You're her. Ghost 7, the one who made the shot. Maya nodded. I am. Sarah talked about you, all the time. Jason's voice cracked. She said you were the best operator she ever worked with, said you made impossible shots look routine. Sarah was the reason I could make those shots. She was my spotter, my partner. Maya's voice caught. My best friend. I know. Jason pulled the blanket tighter. She wrote me letters, after every operation, told me about the missions she could discuss, told me about the person she trusted with her life. He stepped closer, extended his hand. Thank you. For saving me. For honoring her memory. Maya took his hand, held it, felt the connection to Sarah flow through this young man who carried her spirit forward. Your sister died covering my position while I made a shot that saved 12 strangers. The words came out before Maya could stop them. I couldn't save her. I've carried that guilt for 6 months. She wouldn't want that. I know. She would want you teaching, training others, making sure what happened to her never happens to someone else's spotter. I know that too. Maya released his hand. That's why I'm going back, to Coronado, to train the next generation. Jason's eyes widened. You're returning to instruction. I am. And I'm going to create a program that honors your sister, that teaches operators to protect their spotters, that ensures Sarah's death means something beyond grief. For a long moment, Jason said nothing. Then he stepped forward and wrapped his arms around Maya in a hug that said everything words couldn't express. Thank you. His voice was muffled against her shoulder. For saving me, for remembering her, for making her sacrifice matter. Maya held him, felt the tears she had suppressed for 6 months finally break through. Let them fall. I'm sorry I couldn't save her. You saved 12 people that day. You saved me tonight. Jason pulled back, met her eyes. Sarah would say that's a pretty good trade. Sarah would say I'm being dramatic. That, too. Jason managed a wet laugh. She always said you were the most dramatic person she knew. Maya laughed. Actually laughed. The sound surprised her. She was right. She usually was. The medic approached, insisting on completing Jason's evaluation. Maya stepped back, gave them space, but Jason caught her arm. Come visit. When this is over. When things settle down. I want to hear the stories she couldn't put in letters. I will. Promise. I promise. The word carried weight. Commitment. The first promise Maya had made in 6 months that felt like something other than obligation. Admiral Harrison appeared at her elbow. Petty Officer Chen, debrief in 30 minutes. The brass wants a full accounting. I understand. They're also going to offer you a commendation, Navy Cross most likely, for the impossible shots you made tonight. Maya shook her head. I don't want a commendation. It's not really optional. Then give it to Lieutenant Reyes. Maya's voice hardened. She spotted for me under conditions that would have broken experienced operators. She held her composure when everything went wrong. She earned recognition tonight. Harrison studied her. You want to give your commendation to the woman who insulted you 12 hours ago. I want to give recognition to the woman who helped me save 3 lives tonight. What happened 12 hours ago doesn't matter anymore. The Admiral nodded slowly. I'll see what I can do. And Sarah's Silver Star, already in process. The paperwork will be signed by morning. Maya exhaled. Another weight lifted. Another piece of the guilt transformed into action. Thank you, Admiral. Thank yourself. You made the shots. You saved the hostages. You honored your partner's memory in the most meaningful way possible. Harrison paused. Sarah Kim would be proud of you tonight. The words hit harder than Maya expected. She turned away, looked out at the dark water. I hope so. I know so. Harrison's voice softened. Now go get some rest. You have a training program to build when we get back to Coronado. The return to Coronado took 18 hours. Debriefs, medical evaluations, paperwork that seemed designed to drain every ounce of remaining energy. But when Maya finally stepped off the transport at 0900 hours the following morning, she found something she didn't expect. A crowd. 200 people stood at the edge of the tarmac. SEALs, support staff, training candidates, administrative personnel. Everyone who had witnessed her demonstration 2 days ago, plus dozens more who had heard the story. At the front stood Senior Chief Derek Stone. His face carried none of the arrogance Maya remembered. In its place was something that looked almost like humility. Genuine, hard-won humility. He snapped to attention as she approached, rendered a crisp salute. Welcome back, Petty Officer Chen. Maya returned the salute. Senior Chief. I owe you an apology, Stone's voice carried across the crowd. Not just for what I said at the range, For everything. For the assumptions I made. For the cruelty I showed. For failing to recognize excellence when it was standing right in front of me. The words landed with unexpected weight. Public apology from a man like Stone was rarer than combat medals. I heard about the mission. Stone continued. 1,600 yards, 25-knot winds, moving targets, multiple kills under impossible conditions. He paused. That's not just skill. That's something else entirely. That's training. Maya's voice was quiet, but firm. Training that anyone can develop with enough commitment. Can you teach it? The question wasn't rhetorical. Stone was asking if she could teach him. If she would teach him. If she could transform his raw capability into something approaching what she had demonstrated. Yes. Will you? Maya looked at him. Saw the man behind the arrogance. Saw the warrior who had spent 15 years developing skills he thought were the pinnacle of human capability, only to discover he was looking at the mountain from the foothills. Be at the range tomorrow. 0500, full gear. She paused. Bring your team. Bring anyone who wants to learn what real precision looks like. Stone nodded. Yes, ma'am. The honorific slipped out naturally. Stone caught it. Didn't correct himself. Thank you for giving us the chance to learn from you. Maya walked past him, through the crowd, heard the murmurs of respect, felt the weight of attention that would have crushed her 2 days ago. It didn't crush her now. Something had changed. The mission had changed it. Saving Jason had changed it. The conversation with Sarah's brother had changed it. She was ready to teach again, ready to honor Sarah's memory through action instead of grief. Victoria Reyes caught up with her near the administrative building. I heard what you did, giving me credit for the commendation. You earned it. I spotted for one mission, one operation. You've been making impossible shots for 12 years. And I couldn't have made those shots without Sarah spotting for me. Maya stopped, faced Victoria. That's the lesson, Lieutenant. We don't operate alone. We succeed because someone else believes in us. Someone else watches our back. Someone else calls our wind and tracks our targets. I understand. 점수음스무함. Do you? Because the program I'm building requires that understanding. Requires operators who see their spotters as partners, not tools. Requires a fundamental shift in how we think about precision operations. Victoria's chin lifted. I want to be part of that program, not just as a student, as an instructor. You're not qualified? Then qualify me. Victoria's voice held steel. Train me. Teach me. Make me into someone who can pass forward what you taught me on that mission. Maya studied her. Saw the desperation beneath the confidence. Saw the need to prove herself through something other than competition with men who would never accept her. One condition. Anything. Stop fighting to be accepted. Start fighting to be excellent. Maya's voice hardened. The program I'm building doesn't care about gender, doesn't care about proving anything to anyone. It only cares about developing the best precision operators in the world. Can you commit to that? Yes. Even if it means failing. Even if it means being worse than people you think you should beat. Victoria flinched. The question touched exactly the insecurity she had spent years hiding. Yes. Her voice was quieter now. Even then. Then report tomorrow. 0500. Same as Stone's team. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. What I'm going to put you through will make buds look like summer camp. Victoria smiled. Actually smiled. I'm counting on it. She walked away. Left Maya standing alone outside the administrative building. Alone, but not empty. Not anymore. Commander Hartwell found her there 5 minutes later. I heard about the crowd at the tarmac. Stone's public apology. Victoria's request for instructor training. Word travels fast. It's a military base. Word travels at the speed of gossip. Hartwell handed her a folder. Your instructor credentials. Reinstated as of this morning. Full autonomy. Design your own curriculum. Choose your own students. Maya opened the folder. Read the orders. Saw her name printed with a rank she had abandoned 6 months ago. I'm still a civilian contractor. Not anymore. Medical separation reversed. Active duty status restored. Hartwell's voice held something like satisfaction. Admiral Harrison pushed it through personally. Said you earned it last night. I didn't ask for that. You didn't have to. Your actions spoke loud enough. Maya closed the folder, looked at Hartwell with eyes that held both gratitude and wariness. What happens now? Now you build the program you promised. Train the operators who will carry forward everything Sarah taught you. Hartwell paused. And you start by teaching the people who underestimated you most. Stone's team. Stone's team, plus anyone else who wants to learn. Hartwell's expression softened. You have a chance to change the culture here, Maya. To create something that outlasts your own career. That's rare. Don't waste it. I won't. I know you won't. Hartwell turned to leave. One more thing. What? Kyle Martinez, the young SEAL who noticed your hands before anyone else, who admitted his silence made him complicit in Stone's behavior. What about him? He's been waiting outside your quarters since 0600, wants to request assignment to your program personally. Maya nodded slowly. I'll talk to him. I thought you might. Hartwell walked away, called over his shoulder. Welcome back, Petty Officer Chen. It's good to have you home. Home. The word settled into Maya's chest with unexpected warmth. She hadn't thought of Coronado as home in 6 months, had thought of it as a hiding place, a grave she had buried herself in while waiting for the grief to kill her. But it wasn't a grave anymore. It was a beginning. Kyle Martinez stood at attention outside Maya's quarters, exactly where Hartwell said he would be. His face showed the strain of sleepless hours. His eyes held desperate hope. Petty Officer Chen, permission to speak. Granted, Kyle exhaled. The words came out in a rush. I want to request formal assignment to your training program. I want to learn everything you can teach, and I want to help build something that prevents what happened at the range from ever happening again. What happened at the range? Someone exceptional being dismissed because of how she looked. Someone with capabilities beyond anything we've seen being treated like she was beneath notice. Kyle's voice cracked. I saw your hands before anyone else. I knew something was different, and I stayed quiet because I wanted to watch the show. You already admitted that, to Commander Hartwell. I know, but admitting it isn't enough. I need to do something, need to be part of the solution. Kyle's eyes met hers. Please, let me prove I'm more than the person who stayed silent. Maya studied him, saw the guilt, saw the genuine desire for redemption, saw something that reminded her of herself at 23. Young, eager, desperate to matter. What makes you think you can handle my training? I don't know if I can, but I know I'll die trying. People have died trying. Literally. Kyle didn't flinch. Then I'll be in good company. Maya almost smiled. Almost. Report tomorrow. 0500. Bring your gear. Bring your commitment. Leave your ego at the door. Yes, ma'am. And Kyle, ma'am. The fact that you noticed my hands, that you saw something others missed, that's a skill, a rare one. We're going to develop it. Kyle's eyes widened. How? By teaching you to see what others overlook. to read people the way you read targets, to understand that assumptions are the enemy of accuracy. I don't understand. You will. Maya opened her door. Now let me get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be brutal. Kyle saluted, turned, walked away with the bearing of someone who had just been given a purpose. Maya watched him go, felt something shift in her chest. She was building a team, not just training individuals, but creating a unit that shared her vision. Stone, Victoria, Kyle. Others would follow. Sarah would have loved this, would have stood beside Maya and helped design the curriculum, would have brought her own insights about spotting, about partnership, about the 1,000 small things that separated good operators from great ones. Sarah was gone. But her lessons remained. Her spirit remained. Her impact on Maya's life would echo forward through every operator Maya trained. That was legacy. That was meaning. That was how you honored the dead. Maya entered her quarters, sat on the bed, looked at the photograph she had placed on her nightstand 6 months ago, Sarah Kim, smiling, alive, full of the fierce joy that came from doing work that mattered. I'm going to teach them everything you taught me. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I'm going to make sure your sacrifice creates 100 operators who protect their partners, who watch each other's backs, who never leave anyone behind. The photograph didn't answer. Photographs never did. But Maya could hear Sarah's voice anyway. The voice from 1,000 training sessions, 1,000 operations, 1,000 moments when Sarah had believed in her when no one else did. It's about time, Ghost. Now get some sleep. You've got a long day tomorrow. Maya smiled, lay back on the bed, closed her eyes. For the first time in 6 months, sleep came easily. The program launched 3 days later. 24 candidates, Stone's SEAL team, Victoria Reyes, Kyle Martinez, plus 15 volunteers from across the base who had watched Maya's demonstration and wanted to learn. They gathered at the range at 0500, full gear, no idea what they were about to experience. Maya stood before them in the pre-dawn darkness. Her voice carried across the silent assembly. Everything you know about precision shooting is incomplete. Everything you've been taught about marksmanship has gaps. Everything you think you understand about operating under pressure is about to be challenged. Stone's face showed the particular concentration of someone who had stopped assuming and started listening. I'm not here to make you better shooters. I'm here to make you better warriors, and warriors understand something that most people never learn. She paused. Let the silence build. The weapon doesn't make the warrior. The warrior makes the weapon. Victoria nodded. She had heard this lesson before. On a boat in the South China Sea, in the moments before an impossible shot. Your equipment will fail, your conditions will deteriorate, your plans will collapse. And when that happens, you have 2 choices. You can surrender to circumstances, or you can adapt. Maya held up the damaged rifle from the range, the one Stone had thrown at her feet 3 days ago. This weapon failed inspection 3 times. Most of you would consider it unusable. I used it to hit 10 targets at 400 yards while blindfolded. She set the rifle down. By the end of this program, you'll be able to do the same. Not because you'll have better equipment, because you'll have better minds. Kyle Martinez stepped forward. How? By learning to see what others miss. By developing awareness that goes beyond vision. By understanding that precision isn't about perfect conditions. It's about perfect adaptation to imperfect conditions. Maya looked at each candidate in turn, saw the mixture of fear and hope and determination that she remembered from her own early training. Some of you will fail. That's not a threat. That's reality. What I'm going to teach you requires capabilities that not everyone possesses. But failure here isn't permanent. It's educational. Every mistake teaches something. Every shortcoming reveals an area for growth. Victoria raised her hand. What if we're not ready? Nobody's ready. Not for what I'm going to ask. Maya's voice softened slightly. But readiness isn't the point. Willingness is. The question isn't whether you're prepared for this training. The question is whether you're willing to be transformed by it. The words landed with weight that made several candidates straighten. This program isn't just about shooting. It's about becoming someone who can make impossible shots when lives depend on it. Someone who can function under pressure that would break normal operators. Someone who can be the last line of defense when everything else fails. Maya picked up her personal rifle, the Macmillan that had saved Jason Kim. I made a shot 3 days ago that should have been impossible. 1,600 yards, 25-knot winds, moving target, 6-inch window. I made that shot because Sarah Kim spent years teaching me how to see beyond what seemed possible. She met Stone's eyes. Victoria's. Kyle's. Now I'm going to teach you the same thing. Not because you deserve it, because the people you'll save deserve it. Because somewhere out there hostages are waiting for rescue. Teams are waiting for cover fire. Operators are waiting for the impossible shot that will bring them home alive. Maya chambered around, turned toward the range. Day 1, Lesson 1, watch closely. She raised the rifle, fired. 400 yards away, a target rang. That's the baseline. Now let's see what you can do. The training began, and with it, a new chapter in naval special warfare history. A program that would produce the most capable precision operators in the world. A legacy that would honor Sarah Kim's memory for generations. Maya Chen had stopped hiding. She had started teaching. And nothing would ever be the same. 6 weeks changed everything. Stone fired his final qualification round and lowered the rifle. His hands trembled, not from exhaustion, from disbelief. 8 for 8, 400 yards, iron sights. His voice cracked. I've never shot like that in my life. Maya stood behind him, arms crossed. Expression unreadable. You've always had the capability. You just never had the training. This isn't training. This is transformation. Stone turned to face her. I've been a SEAL for 15 years. I thought I knew what precision meant. I didn't know anything. Now you do. Now I do. Stone extended his hand. Thank you. For teaching me. For being patient when I didn't deserve patience. Maya took his hand, held it. Patience is easy when the student is willing. I wasn't willing at first. No, you weren't. Maya released his grip. But you became willing. That's what matters. Stone nodded, stepped back from the firing line, joined his team who watched with expressions that mirrored his own transformation. Connor Walsh had increased his effective range by 200 yards. Ryan Foster could now shoot in wind conditions that would have been impossible 6 weeks ago. Every member of the team had evolved beyond what they believed their limits to be. But the real transformation wasn't in their shooting. It was in their eyes. The arrogance had been replaced by something else. Humility. Respect. The understanding that excellence was a journey, not a destination. Victoria Reyes approached with her clipboard. 6 weeks of assistant instructor duties had changed her too. The aggressive edge had softened. The defensive posture had relaxed. She moved now with quiet confidence, instead of loud compensation. Final evaluations complete. 22 of 24 candidates passed advanced qualification. And the 2 who didn't, reassigned to spotter training. They have the eyes but not the trigger discipline. Better use of their talents. Maya nodded. Good call. It was Kyle's recommendation, actually. He's been tracking individual performance metrics. Says their observation skills are exceptional, even if their shooting isn't. Where is Kyle? Victoria pointed toward the equipment shed. Calibrating the long-range targets for tomorrow's demonstration. Demonstration? Admiral Harrison is bringing congressional observers, wants to showcase the program's results. Victoria paused. He also mentioned something about a ceremony. Maya's chest tightened. She knew what ceremony, had been preparing for it for weeks. Sarah's Silver Star. Yes. Victoria's voice softened. Jason Kim is flying in for the presentation. Requested to be here personally. The news hit harder than Maya expected. She hadn't seen Jason since the rescue, had exchanged messages, promised to visit. But the reality of facing Sarah's brother again, of standing in front of him while someone pinned a medal on a memory that was different. Are you okay? Victoria stepped closer. I can handle the demonstration prep if you need time. I don't need time. I need to finish what I started. What does that mean? Maya looked at the range, at the targets that represented everything she had taught over the past 6 weeks, at the students who had transformed from skeptics into believers. It means tomorrow isn't just about demonstrating skill. It's about honoring the person who made this program possible. Sarah. Sarah. Maya's voice held the weight of loss that would never fully heal. Everything I've taught came from her. Every technique, every insight, every understanding of what it means to operate under impossible conditions. Tomorrow the world finally recognizes that. Victoria nodded slowly. Then let's make sure we do it right. The next morning arrived with the particular clarity that comes before significant events. Maya stood at the range at 0430, alone, watching the sun rise over the Pacific. Sarah's photograph rested in her pocket. A small thing, but it meant everything. You should be here. Maya's voice was barely audible. You should be standing beside me making sarcastic comments about congressional observers and their expensive suits. The wind answered. Nothing else. I'm going to do this right. Going to make sure they understand what you sacrificed, what you gave so that 12 strangers could go home to their families. She pulled out the photograph, looked at Sarah's face, at the smile that had carried Maya through the worst moments of her career. I miss you. Every day, every shot I take, every student I teach. You're there. In the space between trigger and target. In the calculations I make without thinking. In everything I am as an operator. Footsteps approached. Maya didn't turn. Talking to her, Commander Hartwell's voice. Gentle, understanding. Always. Good, she's listening. Hartwell stood beside her. The observers will arrive at 0800. Harrison wants a full demonstration of program capabilities. I know. He also wants you to present Sarah's medal to Jason personally. Maya's breath caught. That's not how military ceremonies work? Harrison made an exception, said the person who knew her best should be the one to honor her memory. The words broke something in Maya's chest, something she had been holding together with willpower and purpose for 6 months. I don't know if I can do that. You can. Hartwell's voice hardened slightly. You've made impossible shots. You've saved hostages under conditions that should have killed everyone involved. You've trained a generation of operators in 6 weeks. Presenting a medal is nothing compared to what you've already done. This is different. How? Because this isn't about skill. This is about standing in front of her brother and admitting that I couldn't save her. That I let the best person I ever knew die while I was focused on the shot. Hartwell turned to face her. Is that what you believe, that you let her die? I was on the rifle. She was covering my position. If I had been faster, if I had taken the shot sooner, if you had done anything different, 12 people would be dead. Hartwell's voice cut through her spiral. Sarah understood the risk. She chose to cover you because she believed in what you were doing. That's not failure. That's partnership. It doesn't feel like partnership. It feels like abandonment. Then let today change that. Hartwell stepped closer. Let today be the moment you stop carrying guilt and start carrying honor. Let Sarah's medal mean something beyond grief. Maya closed her eyes, felt the wind, heard the distant sound of waves. I'll try. That's all anyone can ask. The observers arrived at 0800. 12 congressional staffers, 3 admirals, a dozen reporters from military publications. Everyone who mattered in the world of defense appropriations and special operations funding. Maya stood at the range with her 22 graduated students, Stone and his team on one side, Victoria and Kyle on the other. A unit forged through 6 weeks of impossible training. Admiral Harrison addressed the crowd, spoke about innovation, about pushing the boundaries of human capability, about the program that had produced the most dramatic improvement in precision shooting effectiveness in naval special warfare history. Then he turned to Maya. The architect of this transformation is Petty Officer First Class Maya Chen. Many of you may have heard of her by her operational call sign, Ghost 7. Murmurs rippled through the observers. The name carried weight that transcended the room. Petty Officer Chen, would you demonstrate what your program has achieved? Maya stepped to the firing line, picked up the damaged rifle that had started everything, the one Stone had thrown at her feet 8 weeks ago. This weapon failed inspection 3 times. Most people would consider it unusable. She loaded 10 rounds, raised the rifle. I'm going to hit 10 targets at 400 yards, blindfolded, in under 60 seconds. The observers exchanged glances, skepticism mixed with curiosity. Harrison tied the blindfold, stepped back. Maya breathed, found the calm center that Sarah had taught her to access. Let the world narrow to sound and sensation and the mathematics that turned impossible into routine. She fired. 10 shots. 10 hits. 47 seconds. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Harrison spoke again. Now watch what her students can do. Stone stepped to the line. Same rifle, same blindfold, same targets. 8 hits, 73 seconds. Not perfect, but extraordinary for someone who had been mocking civilian technicians 8 weeks ago. Victoria followed. 7 hits, 6 of them dead center. Kyle, 9 hits, his eyes tracking wind patterns even through the blindfold. One by one, Maya's students demonstrated capabilities that should have been impossible. That would have been impossible without the training they had received. The observers stopped taking notes, stopped whispering to each other, simply watched with the particular attention of people who understood they were witnessing something significant. When the demonstration ended, Harrison approached the microphone again. What you've seen today represents a fundamental shift in how we train precision operators. Petty Officer Chen's methods have produced improvements that our previous programs couldn't achieve in years of traditional instruction. He paused. Let the words settle. But this program wasn't born from theory. It was born from sacrifice, from a partnership between two operators who trusted each other absolutely, from a loss that transformed grief into purpose. Maya's chest tightened. She knew what was coming. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was Petty Officer Chen's spotter for 7 years. 3 months ago, Lieutenant Kim gave her life covering Chen's position during an operation in Syria. Her sacrifice enabled a shot that saved 12 American operators. Harrison's voice hardened with emotion. Lieutenant Kim's death was classified as a training accident. Today, we correct that record. A murmur swept through the crowd. Lieutenant Sarah Kim is hereby awarded the Silver Star for gallantry in action. Her courage, her sacrifice, and her absolute commitment to her partner represent the highest traditions of naval special warfare. Harrison turned to Maya. Petty Officer Chen, please present the medal to Lieutenant Kim's brother. Maya's legs felt like they belonged to someone else as she walked toward the podium. Jason Kim stood there in civilian clothes, his face carrying the same stubborn fire she remembered from the rescue. Sarah's fire. Sarah's spirit. She took the medal case from Harrison, opened it, saw the silver star gleaming against dark velvet. Jason. Her voice caught. She cleared her throat. Started again. Your sister was the best person I ever knew. The best partner. The best friend. She taught me everything I know about precision, about trust, about what it means to have someone believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. The words came harder now, each one pulling something from deep inside. I couldn't save her. I've carried that guilt every day since Syria. Wondered if I could have been faster. Better. Different. Jason's eyes glistened, but he didn't look away. But today I understand something I didn't understand before. Sarah didn't die because I failed. She died because she chose to protect me, because she believed the shot I was taking mattered more than her own safety. Maya held out the medal. This belongs to her memory, to the legacy she created through everyone she trained and everyone she believed in. Jason took the case, held it against his chest. She talked about you constantly. His voice was thick. In every letter, every phone call, said you were the most stubborn, dramatic, brilliant operator she'd ever worked with. Maya almost laughed, almost cried. She also said that if anything ever happened to her, I should make sure you didn't disappear. Make sure you kept teaching. Make sure you understood that her sacrifice was a choice, not a failure. The words hit like a physical blow. She knew. Maya's voice broke. She knew something might happen. She always knew. Jason's eyes held hers. That's what made her brave, knowing the cost and choosing to pay it anyway. He stepped forward, wrapped his arms around Maya in a hug that said everything words couldn't express. Thank you for saving me, for honoring her, for being the partner she always said you were. Maya held him, let the tears fall, felt something shift in her chest that had been locked tight for 6 months. The guilt didn't disappear. It probably never would, but it transformed. From crushing weight to something else. Something lighter. Something that felt almost like purpose. Jason stepped back, looked at the medal in his hands. I'm going to have this displayed at her memorial, so everyone who visits knows what she really did, what she really sacrificed. She would hate that. Jason laughed. A wet, broken sound. I know. That's why I'm doing it. The ceremony continued. Speeches from admirals, recognition for the program's graduates, acknowledgement of what Maya had built in 6 impossible weeks. But Maya barely heard any of it. She stood at the edge of the crowd, watching her students receive their certificates, watching Stone shake hands with congressional observers, watching Victoria answer questions with the quiet confidence of someone who had finally found her place. Kyle found her there. "You okay?" "I don't know." Maya's voice was honest. "I think so. Maybe." "That's the right answer." Kyle smiled slightly. "You said that to me once, on my first day of training." "Did I?" "You did, and you were right. Not knowing is okay, as long as you keep moving forward." Maya looked at him, saw how much he had changed in 6 weeks. The eager young SEAL who had noticed her hands was gone. In his place stood someone older, wiser, more certain of his purpose. "You're going to be a good instructor someday." Kyle's eyes widened. "I'm not ready for that." "No, you're not. But you will be." Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sarah wasn't ready when she started teaching me. Neither was I when I started teaching you. Readiness comes through action, not waiting." "Is that another lesson?" "That's the lesson. The only one that really matters." The crowd began to disperse, observers heading to briefings, students celebrating their graduation, staff cleaning up the remnants of the ceremony. Victoria approached with news. "Harrison wants to see you. In his office, now." "What about—" "He didn't say, but he looked serious." Maya nodded, made her way to the administrative building, climbed the stairs to Harrison's office with the particular wariness of someone who had learned that admirals rarely summoned people for good news. Harrison sat behind his desk. His face showed the strain of a man carrying information he didn't want to share. "Close the door." Maya obeyed, sat in the chair across from him. "I'm going to tell you something that doesn't officially exist. Something that will never appear in any record. Something that I'm violating about 7 protocols by sharing." Maya's stomach tightened. "Sir, the Syria operation, Sarah's death." Harrison leaned forward. "It wasn't random fire. The round that killed her came from a specific position, a position we've since identified." The world tilted. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Sarah was targeted, specifically, by someone who knew she was your spotter, someone who wanted to destroy your effectiveness by removing the person you trusted most." Maya's hands began to shake. "Who? We don't know yet, but we have leads. The investigation is ongoing." Harrison's voice hardened. "I'm telling you this because you deserve to know, and because we may need your help eventually, when we identify the person responsible." "My help? You're the only one who can make certain shots, the only one with certain capabilities." Harrison met her eyes. "When we find whoever killed Sarah, they're going to need to be dealt with. Permanently. Deniably. By someone who can't miss." The implications settled over Maya like a weight. "You want me to go operational again? I want you to have the choice. When the time comes. If the time comes." Maya stared at him, felt the grief transform again, this time into something colder, harder, more focused. "When you find them. Yes, you let me know, immediately, whatever I'm doing, wherever I am." Harrison nodded. "I will." "And Harrison?" "Yes. If I take that shot, I'm not coming back. Not for operations, not for anything. That will be my last mission, ever." "I understand. Do you?" "Because I'm building something here. Something that honors Sarah's memory. Something that will outlast both of us. I won't throw that away for revenge." "It's not revenge. It's justice." "Maybe. But justice can wait until I've trained enough operators to carry this program forward without me." Maya stood, Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a graduation dinner to attend." She walked out. Left Harrison alone with his classified information and his strategic calculations. The truth about Sarah's death changed things, but not today. Today was about celebration, about honoring what had been built, about recognizing the students who had transformed from skeptics into believers. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new training rotations, new candidates who needed to learn what Sarah had taught Maya. And someday, when the time was right, a final shot that would close the circle forever. But that was someday. This was now. Maya joined her students at the graduation dinner, sat between Stone and Victoria, listened to stories and laughter and the particular bond that forms between people who have suffered together. Kyle raised a glass. To Petty Officer Chen, who saw something in us we didn't see in ourselves. The toast echoed around the table. Maya raised her own glass. To Sarah Kim, who taught me everything I know, and to all of you, who proved that her lessons can be passed forward. They drank, talked, celebrated the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Stone leaned close. "I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For not giving up on me. I was an arrogant fool who threw a rifle at your feet and called you sweetheart. You could have destroyed me. Instead, you made me better." Maya smiled. Sarah would say that destroying you would have been a waste of good training material. She sounds like she was something special. She was. Maya looked at Sarah's photograph still in her pocket, still close to her heart. She was the best of us. The dinner continued late into the night. Stories exchanged. Bonds deepened. The foundation laid for a program that would change naval special warfare forever. When Maya finally returned to her quarters, exhaustion weighing on her like a physical force, she found an envelope slipped under her door. No return address. No identifying marks. She opened it, read the single sentence written inside. "The person who killed Sarah has a name. When you're ready to hear it, call this number." A phone number followed. Nothing else. Maya stared at the paper, felt the cold focus return. The hunter's instinct that had made her Ghost 7, but she didn't call. Not yet. She had a program to run, students to train, a legacy to build. Sarah's killer could wait. Justice would come. But first, there was teaching to do, lives to shape, a purpose to fulfill. Maya set the envelope on her desk, looked at Sarah's photograph one final time. "I'm going to find out who did this. And when I do, they're going to learn something about consequences." She smiled. Cold. Certain. "But not today. Today I'm going to be the instructor you always said I could be. I'm going to train the next generation. I'm going to make sure your lessons never die." The photograph didn't answer, but Maya could hear Sarah's voice anyway. "It's about time, Ghost. Now go change the world." Maya turned off the light, lay down, closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new students, new opportunities to honor the partner she had lost. And someday, a reckoning. But tonight, there was peace, purpose, the understanding that grief could become legacy, that loss could become meaning, that the love between partners could echo forward through generations of operators who would never know the woman who made it all possible. Maya Chen had stopped hiding. She had started building. And nothing, not grief, not guilt, not the weight of impossible expectations, would ever make her disappear again. Because warriors don't surrender. They adapt. They overcome. And they make damn sure the people who believed in them are never forgotten.